Another Friday is upon us. What are we to do when the entire world seems to be going awry and there's nothing left for us to hang on to? What do we do? Do we criticize our commander-in-chief and call him a treasoner, treasonous piece of shit? Do we focus on Theresa May and put all of the weight of the world on her shoulders? Is there anyone left we can trust today, gentlemen? And before we just bust up into this small talk before, that will be the central linchpin in today's talk, because law don't go around here, law dog. I'm so happy once again today to have, we got Zero Cool, but I'm also happy to have the Common Sense guy, my co-host, with us. How you doing, Common Sense?
Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing today? It should be an interesting show. Lots of mixing and matching that can be drawn from my country to your country. So should be interesting.
Yeah, Zero, what you up to, brother?
I believe he stepped out for a second.
Oh, he stepped out. He'll be. Oh, I see. Oh, I just looked up. He is very much a typer. I'm not a typer, so I have to remember to look up. After my debacle with Coach Red Pill, I just stay out of the side chat because I don't want it used against me in a court of law. So that said, I noticed something today, and we're not going to dwell on the news today, folks. You know, Common Sense guy and I, we do news day in and day out. By the way, Common Sense, I got to say before we get started, love the format on your because I didn't see it. I don't, for whatever reason, I didn't get the notification. I didn't see it. Did you ask me if I seen the video? I went and watched it. And I tell you, man, I really loved the. Did it just work out that the music was kind of synced up with the feeling, or did you work on where you put the music?
I worked on it.
Okay.
It's one of the only times that I mean, don't get me wrong, that the speech was from the heart, and I never rehearse. I never write anything down. So the speech was from the heart, and was what I just recorded as it was. That's why there's quite a bit of raw emotion in there. But the music, it was a choice to put the music in, and it took me a while to tweak it, to move it, and to realize that when it went up, I was able to uplift it with it. So it was kind of, it was actually the symbology of the music was really important, and it took a while to get it there. At least to me, anyway.
So what you're saying is that you did the speech first, had that completely done, and then you, okay. Because I was wondering, man, I was listening to that. It was kind of a tearjerker. And as I was like, man, listen to that music. And I went back and I turned it up in spots, and it was like, man, he planned that to be like do 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 right at that spot. And I really thought that was brilliant, mate. Listen, if you're gonna do what you are doing and what you plan on, what you planned on doing, what you're starting to go on this journey now, I've got to say, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right, and you are doing it right. The realness of you comes through, but then when you add that little something, that little salt and pepper in there, boy, that was beautiful, son. I'm so sorry. I got to remember we're on live. I don't call him son usually. I mean, I'm so proud of you, man. If I did have a son, I'd want him to be as big and strong and handsome as you are, is what I mean to say. I'm very proud. I was very, very happy with that. So I guess I want to start it this way. The news was this. I'll go ahead and at least, I'm not going to read a bunch of it. Michael Cohan. Everybody know who Michael Cohan is. And hey, good to see you, Adam's Apple. There's Jensen Quinn out there also, Memes of Destruction. We got a couple other people out there, I'm sure, but those are the ones that I noticed. It's just always good to see Adam and his Apple here. I kind of always feel a little, not nervous, Common Sense, but I like his videos, and he's, I don't know. It's just, hey, there's Tim Tarbox. Good to see you. I didn't leave a link there. I've got to get on here now or I'll get distracted. So where we're going to start now. Welcome, everybody. And if I could, I would say hi to everybody. But if I don't mention somebody else, people will feel like I'm a dick. So let me just get on here. Everybody knows who Michael Cohan is. He liked to say that he was Donald Trump's Tom Hagen, a la the Godfather, the consigliere for the Godfather, and that he was his bagman. Well, I'm going to start it out this way, boys. I don't want to read this because I don't care. There's tapes out. Apparently, he recorded his boss, who he was the bag man for. So this is the first question, Common Sense. And you know who Tom Hagen is, right? In The Godfather, you know who that character was?
I believe so. Was he the accountant or was he the lawyer?
The lawyer, yes, he was the lawyer. He was he was the consigliere. He was the one that went and talked to the guy in Los Angeles about the part for the singer, and then ended up leaving the head of a horse in his. He was that guy. He was the red haired. He was their lawyer, their consigliere. So without going into getting way off in the weeds on that, if you can even connect that with that or any other figure, doesn't matter. Imagine a trusted figure. His job is fixer. He fixes things. Sometimes he fixes things with money. Sometimes he fixes things with diplomacy. Sometimes he fixes things with the old 1-2. It doesn't matter. He fixes things. Would someone like that ever record their boss and use that against them? If not, I mean, I don't want to go, and I could go on forever and try to prime you on this, but you know the premise. We have a gentleman that says he is consigliere for the mob, head of the mob. And here he is recording them and crawfishing, backstabbing, going back. What is this, man? What is that?
See, first of all, I think that the premise of him trying to suggest that he is somewhere, anywhere in the description of knowing Trump's inner and most desires or most crimes or whatever you want to call it is a case of you can't compare that to something that is an actual criminal boss or a criminal mind or was supposedly a criminal mind. It's a case for me that premise in itself should be absolutely stripped. It's been set as a premise to already pull at your mental arithmetic to be able to work out in itself that, oh no, he is a horrible person. And look, even his lawyer's saying that he's an evil and corrupt person before you even hear anything that's gone on. And then you get some of the actual, I won't go into the actual stories and some of the tapes that I've heard and what's been leaked out, and so to speak, at this moment in time. But the fact is that if you're a lawyer and you're there supposedly protecting your clients or your clientele, it's a case of why is it that you are recording them? Unless that you intentionally had the purpose or you intentionally wanted to have something against them so that you could hold it against them. So no matter how much that you say Donald Trump is bad, how bad are you for wanting to try to blackmail the person in return? Being that you are a lawyer and you had an oath to serve and protect your client.
As well and what common sense? You can't even buy loyalty now? I mean, that's what it looks like. You can't even buy it now?
I don't think that in most places, especially in politics and in criminal justice areas, there's no way of buying loyalty. There's no such thing as loyalty in that sort of era or that sort of area, should I say. You've got politics in itself where everybody is coming out and trying to say that this is the good for the country, even though the country's already told them what they can and cannot do. You've got people trying to impeach Trump. You've got people trying to tell Theresa May what they can and cannot do with Brexit, so on and so forth. And yet, no matter what these people say and do, it's a case of nobody really trusts them. Nobody really trusts the people they're talking about. There's no trust anymore. And for there to be trust, you need to be able to trust the person you're talking to. For loyalty to exist, there needs to be an element of trust. And nobody trusts anybody anymore. Everybody's out for themselves.
Yeah, and I want to get we're gonna expand this wide open. So before I give Zero the floor, because he takes as much wind as both of us do, I want to say this. Look, if you walk, because this is where I want to stay at right in the beginning, and I appreciate your opening statement. We'll all, Zero may have another opening statement that will not stay on this, but here we go. Tom Hagen. I hate to keep saying it. I know, and that's why I ask common sense, because I'm a little older. There might be a lot of people out there that don't understand what someone means when they say, I am Donald Trump's Don Hagen, his consigliere, his right hand in our thing, also known as, everybody should say that at the same time. Anyway, also, it's the mob.
I'm so sorry.
It's the mob. And so where are we at when someone that broadcasts this, is it, let me put it this way, boys, is it Donald Trump's fault for hiring a moron? Or can we look at the moron and say it's his fault? I wouldn't mind starting that way. Is it Donald Trump's fault? or anyone's fault for putting their trust and their faith in a lawyer?
I would have to say no. If Zero Cool wants to step in, then please do. But if not, I'll go first. No, I'd have to say no. It's not a case of you're paying that lawyer, you're paying that person to defend you, to be able to look after you, to be able to give you correct counsel, to be able to take you in a particular way, which means that you're supposed to have an element of trust between you and the lawyer. And the same thing for the lawyer to the client, as in the client tells the lawyer exactly what's happened, how everything's happened, so the lawyer can make a counter argument and counter statements and work out a case and a structure for it. So between the lawyer and the client needs to be an element of trust. It seems that the trust in this element has been completely and utterly destroyed by the lawyer. For a change, it's not Donald Trump that's put his big feet into a big old shithole. It's a case of the people that are around him have actually dunked him in some mud. So it's a case of, on that note, I don't understand why a lawyer would record everything that's been going on and then have the audacity to then go and say to other people, well, I can release it. Here's what we were talking about. Here's what we were doing.
Would you ever hire him, common sense? Would you ever hire him for anything?
Not after that, no. That's exactly where I was just about to go. That's exactly where I was just about to go. After that, how is he going to actually expect anybody to actually hire him as a lawyer when he has broken his due diligence, his duty to actually protect his clients and clientele and people he has defended? That's the point, that he has defended this person no matter if he's with him or not. Due to client confidentiality laws, he is supposed to not go against anything as long as it's a case of he's not going to directly kill anybody or hurt anybody at that point in time.
That's right, yes.
So he's broken his law, he's broken his duty, he's broken his oath, so to speak, to Donald Trump and to his clients. If I was any of his clients that are around now, I'd be checking every room I was ever in for some form of bug, because it's obvious that he does it with every client to try and see if he can get some money off of them eventually when they leave him. Because he's a shady character. If he's doing that to record people, when it's a case of you have a trust relationship going on, which is what a lawyer and a client actually has, even though you're paying for that trust,
but it's the most sacred trust, isn't it, mate? Lawyer client should be more sacred than husband and wife. So, Kerry, I don't want to interrupt you, but as you're saying, he's breaking a trust that
there's two trusts. Yeah, there's two trusts that are absolutely at the highest and the paramount. That is, one, your doctors.
Yes.
Second is your lawyers. Yes. Those are the two highest trust mechanisms that you can have on this planet, on this earth, whatever you believe it to be. Those are the two highest ones that you can have it. And Donald Trump has had his lawyer, which arguably could be the top one, completely and utterly break his trust and go after him for it, or put stuff out in the open to say, well, this is how Donald Trump deals with this, or whatever, without going too far into it. But I just don't understand how he thinks that he's doing something right. And obviously the attorney, because all he's doing is completely and utterly showing himself to be a sellout. He is destroying every form of trust relationship that he has built over the clients that he has. And he's destroying it just by trying to go after Trump.
And you know what else? He's making them look bad, common sense, because you know what, common sense? Why do they bury lawyers 10 feet down? 10 feet deep? They
can't say a word.
Because deep down, they're all really good guys.
Well, there is that as well. Yes, I suppose so. Most of them are. After all, most people that get into being a lawyer don't always come out of the woodwork to go off and help all the criminals and everything else like that, or try and bend the law or break it or whatever. They come out to defend people, to make sure that people that are going in as innocent stay innocent. So yeah, you are correct. Most lawyers at the beginning, at least, are good people.
No, that was a joke. I was saying, why do they bury him 10 feet deep? Because deep down, 10 feet deep, they're all really good guys. And what he did was he's making that true. And I got to prod Zero Cool just a wee bit. And you too, whoever wants to speak up on this, I want it, because look, the guy has been recorded by other people that weren't his lawyer in bars saying, I am Donald Trump's Tom Hagen. I hate to keep beating that up, but he's the one that said it. What would have happened to Tom Hagen if he would have done this Zero Cool, what would happen to Tom Hagen? If he's not there, you talk common sense, because I'm gonna let one of y'all.
He's here. I can see him.
Well, if you both shut up, I love you both, but shit, you guys put me to sleep. You just have those wonderful.
Oh mercy! You say put to sleep again, I'll just kick you off, Zero. Let's remember that this is. Hang on now, brother.
You lulled me to sleep.
Did we put you to sleep? You can just leave then. I mean, I would like your input, but before you tell I
was being sarcastic.
Well, carry on and don't be a cocksucking faggot. Right.
What would happen is he'd be made an offer he couldn't be refused. He'd be buried with the cement shoes. First off, Cohen's a lawyer, and you know, you're right. Not everybody goes into any profession thinking that they're ever going to be the bad guy. They genuinely think that they are out to do good and have good intentions. But ultimately, down the road, the old adage goes that, you know, hell is paved, you know, by a road with good intentions, and lawyers ultimately cannot be trustworthy. This isn't to say all of them, but most of them, especially a man in Cohen's position, knowing that he has the capability of saying, even before President Trump was President Trump, he's like, oh, here's Donald Trump. He has X amount of money. He has prestige. He has power. He has social standing. If I'm going to be this guy's lawyer, why wouldn't I want to have something on him in case it benefits me so I can get that too? Very simple.
Good question. Good question. That's fair.
That's basically about it. I mean, and I would say that the wife and husband privilege of trust goes way beyond that of a lawyer or a client, let alone a doctor or a client.
Well, I have to completely and utterly disagree with you on both of those points.
Well, you can disagree with me all you want. You asked me my opinion.
No, I agree. But the reasons why I do disagree with you, mate, is simply because most people don't tell their wives if they've gone and slept with somebody else. Most people don't tell their wives if they've gone off and killed somebody. Most people don't tell their wives if they got cancer. Most people don't go off and tell their wives if their foot's going to fall off.
Well, if you're cheating on your wife or if you're going out killing people, you have problems. If you're not going to tell your spouse that you have cancer, you're also kind of an idiot and you have problems, because that'd be the first person you would want to know, no matter how heartbreaking it is. Have you ever been married?
Yes.
No, I haven't been married, but I've been.
Okay, well then, well, trust me, when you've been married, or like in some cases are married, when you get certain things done, you want to tell your spouse, you want to tell your wife. But again, why would you, how sucked do you have to be to cheat on your wife? How moronic do you have to be to go kill people? Unless, of course, and I mean on the average layman term, why would you want to? But in regards to the realms of political power, that's just kind of like breakfast for those guys. That's like a brunch for them. Oh, yeah, I accidentally hit somebody with my car because I was drunk picking up a hooker. Oh, what's that? Yeah, okay, fine. Here's the hourly fee. We'll just put it under some bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Cohen has never been trustworthy. Any and all lawyers that deal with political figures or celebrities, they're not to be trusted, because they don't want their clients to ever go to jail or to get in so much trouble that they can't keep milking them on an excessively high billing fee. So it's about money, it's about prestige, it's about power, and it's about social standing for Cohen.
But not for Cohen. He was the one that said he was Tom Hagen, and that's why I'm going to stay on this. I'm going to beat it up.
Yeah, beat it up.
Doesn't matter to me. I'm because look, he's the one. He's the one that said, "I am Tom Hagen," and you already said it, Zero, best as anyone could say it. He'd be sleeping with the fucking fishes. Excuse my F-bomb.
No,
because
that's true.
No way. There's no way. If this was any other case, in fact, I'm imagining that Trump, call him an evil person, and I'm saying he's an evil person if you want, but I'm imagining Trump is here right now going, I would just, because my God, he took this obscure moron out of the woodwork and gave him a great job. All he had to do was not leak fucking tapes. That's all he had to do.
Yeah. And that goes back to the thing about loyalty. Lawyers are never loyal, so as long as you can pay their bill.
Yeah.
You two are more loyal to me than most lawyers are to their clients, and we don't even hang out and eat lunch together. You know, we barely ever talk on YouTube or a live stream, but we have a more reliable bond between the three of us saying, hey, man, we're going to talk about a topic, each say our piece. And if we agree to disagree, we agree to disagree. We're not just going to go out 5 seconds later and then, you know, burn each other at the stake, so to speak. We have a more reliable bond of trust doing this than most lawyers do with their clients.
So from what you're telling me is that anonymity brings about trust. I'm getting to the bottom. We're getting to the bottom of this. So far, common sense, I've heard that anonymity brings about trust. That's what Zero just said.
Yeah, no, I'd just like to ask a quick question. Have you ever been in a situation when you have needed a lawyer for any particular reason, domestic or civil or anything?
God
have you ever needed a lawyer at all?
Yep.
Yes, God save me. Yes, more than 5 times.
Did you tell that lawyer more stuff about what you were going on and more in detail what was going on than anybody else in the room?
Nope.
Yes. I did, yes. Fuck, you got to tell your lawyer everything. In fact, my lawyer, Scott Isles, is, I mean, if a lawyer, look, I don't want to expound too much, but I'm going to say this. Yes, and here's the reason. A lawyer passes the bar, then takes an oath and says, I will not incriminate my client. Lo, I go to prison. I will not incriminate my client. That's their number one job, is to defend those that they know are guilty and to make sure that they get every privilege afforded to them under the law. And so, yeah, but I'm going to say this to answer that question and kick it off to Zero to answer it however he wants. I'm wondering if I can still do that after this, because Lord knows I don't pay Scott Isles, attorney at law, Midland, Michigan. If you find yourself in trouble, if you've had a DUI, if you find yourself with a possession of marijuana charge or anything else, call Scott Isles, attorney at law, Midland, Michigan. What am I going to do? I mean, at the end, if I can't trust my lawyer, I can't trust my fucking wife. Common sense. You said it better than anybody else I think could say it. You got your doctor and your lawyer. I didn't hear you say anything about a wife or a woman or anything else, or friends. Those are the things. Those are the, and so this is I'm out.
Yeah, I actually, about 4 years back, had the brakes go out of my car because of not keeping up on my maintenance. I was busy and I screwed up. So my brakes gave out and I rolled past a stopped bus, which in Iowa is against the law. It's known as Caden's Law, where you can actually be heavily fined and sent to jail if the judge chooses to do so, because, you know, what if you hit somebody? Well, I actually had to have my truck towed back to my house. The next day, state trooper comes to my house, gives me a paper and says, hey, man, I got to serve you. I said, what's this for? And he says, well, you know, you rolled past the stop bus. I said, yeah. I said, I had a problem with my brakes they gave out. And he says, can I take a look? He took pictures, took documentation. He says, well, go ahead, do yourself a favor, get a lawyer. And I said, well, am I going to jail? And he goes, no, but this is one of those things that you may want to explain, because if you get a judge that's never going to be happy, which 99% of the times they are never happy, you want to be able to say your piece. So I went and got a lawyer, and they said, what happened? I said, hey, I was going on my way home. My brakes felt weird. They popped. I rolled down the hill, barely stopped, towed my car home. That was it. Next day, Stady comes over, takes pictures of the brakes. You know, I screwed up. I didn't keep them maintained properly. So the lawyer says, so you didn't do it on purpose? I said, no. He goes, okay, fair enough. Go to court the next Monday. The judge says, what happened? Tell him everything that I told the lawyer. And he turns to the lawyer and says, did you tell your client to say this? And he goes, yep. And the judge's like, this is what happened? I said, yep. He goes, all right, I got to suspend you for a month just to teach you a lesson, $350 fine plus court cost. Okay. And he says, well, anything from this? I said, yes, to better maintain my vehicle, because I said to the judge, I said, God forbid if I would have hit a kid getting off a school bus. That would have sucked. And he goes, you know what? And I said, what? And he goes, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get any last night, and you're exactly being 100% honest. That's why you're getting off so light. Otherwise, I was going to send your ass to jail for 1.5 years just to teach you a lesson.
Damn.
So
well,
what
I
was the point?
This.
What was the point? I talked to my lawyer. I told him the exact truth. I didn't have to lie or omit anything. And he said, go ahead, tell the judge that. It was light work for the lawyer. All he had to do was file one paper, and we were done.
Look, boys.
I still could have went to jail for that.
That's the whole point.
That's the point.
That you told him the whole and actual truth. Yeah. Not tried to omit a point or tried to shift blame or anything else of that. Or maybe it was the mechanics, you know, how sometimes you might have said that to the wife or the missus or whatever. It's a case of you told him the exact truth because you had to trust him to do his job properly.
You do, but I want to play the devil's advocate here. We get it. Listen, folks, we get it so much now. The law needs more. I got to turn this up a little bit so you can see this shirt behind me. The law needs a little bit more power. They need to be able to get the bad guys. My friend that owns a legal dispensary has trusted the law to do what they say. They have come and seized everything he owned a month ago. All of his money, went to his house, took all of his cash, and still Monday, we're going to find out if they're going to throw it out, but they still took all of his money. It'll take him 2 years to get it. Listen, here's what I learned from that Zero Cool is that lawyers can't be trusted because your lawyer should not have had you admit your fault in court. Lawyers, and I understand that you got out of it. And I'm praise God that you got out of it, or praise you, whoever you praise them that you got out of it. But the problem is that you have the right to break the law and get away with it if you can. That is part of being free. That is part of the dangerous freedom that we enjoy. And sometimes people will rape, rob, pillage, murder, the whole 9 yards and get away with it. Get off on technicalities. That is the price of being free. And all these technicalities dribbling away, your lawyer should have never had you incriminate yourself in court.
Of course my lawyer never should have had me incriminate myself, but I didn't give a shit. I told the lawyer what I told him because I like to sleep at night.
Common sense.
I like to have peace of mind.
Well, actually, I have to agree with Zero Cool on this. It's the simple fact that on this, it's a case of he had to tell him the truth, and it was up to the lawyer then to make a decision, because us being a layman doesn't understand what the process of laws could be. So if he was to say, as you suggested, that he didn't tell the whole truth, he goes into court and it finds out that it's a case of he didn't maintain his brakes properly, so he's completely and utterly at fault. Because he didn't tell the truth, he would have gone to prison for 1.5 years. Under the lawyer's decision that he had, he only got, what was it, a month of being suspended. I mean, I think the lawyer made the right decision there.
Well, I'm not saying he didn't. So what I'm finding out here very quickly, lads, is that in reality, who can we trust?
Well, you can trust a lawyer to make the right decision for you. Sometimes just because that you're admitting to a crime doesn't mean that that's going to be the bad thing of it. If you admit to a crime and you get 10 years, but if you don't admit to it, you get 25 years. What was the actual best bit out of that? Was it the 10 years or was it the 25 years when you lied?
All right. Okay.
Or so can one trust oneself to make the best decision for oneself.
Well, that's the question.
I like to sleep at night. I like to go to bed every day after third shift, knowing that I did what I was supposed to do during the day and not have any, guilt weighing my head down when I sleep.
So there's the question, and this is not the final word, but I want to give each of you a really good amount of time to tell me the answer to this question. We'll start with Zero. And then when he's done, we'll go right to common sense. Who can you trust in this day and age?
You have to be able to trust yourself if no one else.
Cheers.
I say no one. You can't trust anyone. You can't even trust yourself.
Oh, I like that. Explain that a little bit more. I do like that answer very much. What do you mean by that? What do you mean you can't trust yourself? What are you crazy? What do you mean by that? Tell us what you mean by that.
Because you can't trust yourself. We make stupid decisions every goddamn day. And just because that we make decisions that don't actually physically impact our lives on that day doesn't mean that the next day that we make those decisions that is not going to physically impact our lives. We do this every day. That's why you physically can't trust anybody, and especially not yourself. For instance, our perception of reality is our own perception of reality. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's correct. It just means it's a perception.
So Zero, now that you've heard that, what he said, do you agree with that? Is that true? Can we trust no one, including ourselves?
No, I think that I'm a very cynical person, but that's even beyond my scope of cynicism. I think basically the reason I say that I have to be able to trust myself to make good decisions and do what is good for me and doesn't affect me to where I feel guilty or lose any sleep is because I'm a dad. I have a daughter in the Air Force who looked up to me, who looked up to my parents or grandparents, and I've had to lead by example for the past 24 years. And believe me, I made some very dumb choices when she was a kid.
Hey, common sense. I've got to have about 10 minutes. I just had someone show up, but it's not like the other day. It's not somebody from North Carolina. I won't be going to the thing. Would you be able to take the show over for about 15 to 20 minutes, sir?
I'll give it a go.
All right. And, you know, just let's stay on this topic. In fact, I'm done. I don't have to tell you what to do. Thank you, sir, so much. I'll be right back.
So basically, to finish up, is the answer to his question is, you and I are going to have to agree to disagree on this. I basically disagree only simply for the fact is I can only answer for myself, and that I've had to lead by example because I have a kid. And if I do something that basically shames me or my parents, it shames her. And even though it doesn't directly affect her, she's not going to look at me the same way as like, geez, Dad, way to not set an example for me. What have you been teaching me all these years? That's all.
No, I actually agree with you. I agree with you in part. It's just the thing is with me on that one where I say that you can't trust anybody, even yourself, is the fact that we make decisions that take us into points of not being able to trust ourselves, like drinking too heavily. Our judgment's obviously very, very impaired at that point, or taking drugs, or doing stuff that isn't a good idea generally. Those are things that we do ourselves that means that we can't trust our decision-making skills. What I meant was by that is that not that we can't trust ourselves to make decisions, but it's the point that we generally do not make great decisions. So even we cannot trust ourselves. But I do agree with you that if we do make decisions in a good and positive light, yes, we can trust ourselves, definitely. But we do have ways of impairing our visions.
Oh, without doubt. But I think we should continually strive to make better decisions, because not because it's an ego thing that where it makes us look good. It's the fact that we do have to lead by example, you know, and even if we are not intentionally trying to lead by example, somebody is around us. Like, let's say we just go to a grocery store and you know you want that candy bar, but you see the fruit and you say, you know, I'm going to grab the fruit today. How do you know a little kid might not watch you and say, oh, hey, that old, you know, because kids are influenced by adults. Oh, hey, that kid's grabbing, or that adult's grabbing some fruit. That kid may pick up a fruit instead of a candy bar or a bag of chips. So, you know, they can trust us inadvertently to help them make good decisions because we lead by example.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to disagree with that. It still brings back to the point of decisions. But yes, no, I completely and utterly agree with you. I still think that what Ogre would probably want us to go down is the fact is that obviously it was a case that the lawyer himself, Coney, was obviously left Trump, or Trump fired him, so to speak. And now it seems that it's a case of him trying to get back at him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And this isn't really in my realm of expertise. I've just caught what I've caught on through, you know, Twitter and YouTube and social media. And I just thought of the whole thing. I said, I thought this guy was President Trump's lawyer, and then now he's doing this. I said, well, then why did you hire him in the first place? You know, it's because this Cohen guy is such a tool. And if he's gonna, you know, if he's gonna go around saying, you know, I'm this character from The Godfather, I said, you do know what happened to that dude, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't live.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Cohen is where you're right. I think Cohen can't trust himself to make appropriate decisions because he shouldn't be spouting off something about a character from a Godfather who dies because of getting found out and killed in the Godfather series. That's like me going around and saying, I'm Slim Goodbody, I eat healthy, and then, you know, me needing to lose 50 pounds. Come on.
No, that's a very good, fair point. I would say, do you reckon that he's doing it because he is being coached or he's being bought by a particular party or a particular set of people? Honestly,
you know, that may very well be it, but from where I see it, I think he's just being a whiner-ass crybaby. You know, he got the boot, and that's like, oh, that's X amount of dollars out of my pocket now that I can't spoil my kids or grandkids with or do whatever the hell I want. So now I'm going to get that source that source of income supplemented somehow. And if it means I got to go over here and do it, fine, I'll go over here and do it. I don't care because reasons. Yeah, I want that money.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, do you reckon that after he's done this, do you reckon that he would actually still get any sort of clients after revealing that he actually records people and conversations with people or gets his secretary to do it?
Well, you got to remember Nixon was infamous for doing that, and he was the elected president during his time. And Nixon was kind of a bit of a backstabber too. And so I think if you really just got to be in a situation to where you're recording stuff like that, you know, down the road somewhere you're using it to either save your ass or you're going to screw somebody over, which still is saving your ass. And I think Cohen knew sooner or later it would play to his advantage, and he just didn't want, he wanted to do it on his terms, but it seems like he's doing it on Trump's terms because Trump said you're fired.
Mm-hmm. No, I do agree with you. It's just a simple case that I think that if somebody like myself was going to hire Cohen, if I had enough money, obviously, I mean, he's way out of my price bracket now, obviously. But if I was going to hire somebody like Cohen, now that I've seen the fact that he records conversations privately and he's not supposed to, would I actually trust him to actually hire him? Is what I was trying to say.
No, I'd go after Cochran. You can't trust that fucker, but he can do his job.
Yeah, well, that's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make. The fact that maybe there are certain people that you can't trust and they can do the job, but somebody like Cohen was somebody's lawyer, and because he's fired, he's now trying to get back at the person that he was hired for. Does that not heavily imply that he is completely and utterly out for his own financial gain, meaning that he does not care about his clients at all?
No, he doesn't. He's out for his own financial gain. He's been that way since day one.
Yeah, but like I said, my point is still the fact of now that that's come to light by the fact that he's trying to sell these tapes, so to speak, because that's the reason why he's doing it. He's not giving it to CNN or ABC because of he wanted to make sure that they get their political parties onto the right track so they can dethrone Trump. As you quite rightly said, he's doing it because he's pissed off because he got fired. So with that being in most people's noodles, so to speak, and most people can work out the track of what's going on, that means that he would do that to somebody that would piss him off enough in the future, meaning that he can no longer probably work again after this.
Well, he's going to probably find some way to bank in and say, oh, I'm going to put out a tell-all book and make money another way. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't really matter if he's 51 years old. He's got the money that he's got. I don't think he gives a crap. I think he does this because in the long run, he's a petty, vindictive little jackhat.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see where that's coming from. So like what I was trying to suggest or throw out there is that you don't think that he's going to continue being a lawyer or a solicitor or even a consultant.
I think sooner or later he'll just quit because he has enough money where he can afford to quit.
Do you reckon that he will get that off of Trump, or do you reckon that he'll have to do some sort of book on that?
I think he'll try to get it off of President Trump because President Trump most likely will be President Trump again a second term. And if anyone's, smart enough to figure out, oh, if this guy's got, the juice to do it now and he's going to do it again, why not stretch this out for the tenure of his 2 terms? Why not make a little more bank, a little more controversy, generate some more cash for myself? And then by the time he's done, I'm done and I don't have to do anything and I don't have to be a lawyer. Look at it this way. Hillary Clinton did not stay a lawyer. Why did she not stay a lawyer? She didn't want to stay a lawyer. She knew down the road it was better to be in the political arena than it was to be in a lawyer. She got more money. She got more accolades. She was able to push her husband into becoming the president of the United States. And she was the real power behind the seat, so to speak, anyway, when he was in there. That's why she didn't divorce him, because she had basically everything in her, well, where her teeth should be and not her mouth. Let's just leave it at that, people. You don't use your imaginations too much. And when
nobody wants to picture that.
And when all this went down, and she kept saying, "Why aren't I 50 points ahead?" She ultimately didn't care. She wanted the presidency just to say because she could do it, not because of the money, just to say, yeah, look what I've accomplished. She wanted bragging rights. That's why she didn't stay a lawyer. In fact, if most people were smart enough, they wouldn't have voted for her, because as much as people bitch about President Trump or what he may or may not have done prior to his presidency, which is still up in the air, she is proven to have successfully defended in 1975, I believe, a rapist of a underage girl and brag about it.
Yep.
That right there should tell you that she's her mindset and that she's not trustworthy.
Yep. I believe for the story in itself that the girl was about 11 or 12, and the trucker that actually picked her up did what he did so vividly that she had to had so many stitches, and there was so much blood all over everything that they could pick stuff up. But apparently, DNA evidence was omitted because somehow she was able to convince the jury that the 11, 12-year-old girl was able to give consent to something like a 30-something-year-old man.
Well, yeah, and also let's look at the crime forensics back then as opposed to now.
Mm-hmm.
You get that shit, and I'm going to use some fictional characters here just because I think most people understand this stuff.
Sure.
Easier. That kind of stuff were to go down now, you'd have Batman all over it, and then you'd get Dexter to do the blood splatter and take care of the execution. Hillary would never get him to court.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just put that, because things have changed within 40-plus years.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
and I'm actually surprised they haven't, maybe they have, I haven't heard of it. I'm surprised they haven't reopened the case just because they could.
They will never reopen it because Hillary Clinton, as you well know, has got friends that will not let that case reopen. Because even when you talk about it, or even when the news was going to start talking about it again, it got squashed for some reason.
Convenience!
Yes, exactly. Conspiracy theory.
Oh, well, we shouldn't be saying that because YouTube has an algorithm that automatically takes care of people who talk about conspiracy theories. Is it a conspiracy theory when it's actually the truth that Hillary Clinton is a bad person?
Yes. I mean, no, sorry. It was a programmed response. It was a programmed response. I'm sorry.
Programmed response. Just checking.
I suppose without going too far into all the conspiracy theories, we should come back to the Cohen thing because obviously it's
well, my point is, I knew I couldn't trust Hillary as a lawyer, so why would I trust her as a president?
Yes, no, I agree with you. I completely agree with you on that. I would say that the difference is probably with Hillary Clinton is that she was broad and brazen about it. She did not try to build a career on being trustworthy, where obviously the person we're talking about, Mr. Cohen, did try to build a career on being trustworthy as a actual lawyer to defend people without being a cunt about it.
So everybody out there in TV land, hit 1 if you think Cohen did this just because he was butthurt.
Well, that's me pressing 1.
Because that's what it sounds like, that he was butthurt and that's the only reason he's doing it. And if that's his mindset, then it's like, okay, well, if you're butthurt over this, I wouldn't want to hire you because how do I know you wouldn't be butthurt if I said something similar to you? And now that I know you're taping people, I definitely wouldn't hire you. So yeah, exactly. Again, it just goes in the circular motion of he's not going to care in the long run. He's 51 years old. He's got multi-millions of dollars. He's got a reputation. He's got political standing now because he's quote unquote siding against President Trump and, Ma Russia and all this other crap.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. And that's kind of sad that he's a lawyer and he doesn't care.
Well, if I will quickly elaborate on what I think he's actually done this for, I do think, one, I think he's done this because he's completely and utterly butthurt, and I think he's going after Trump because he wants to try and hurt him and knows that this is the only way he can do it. But I think that he's also been not forced into it because it was his idea in the first place, but has been very heavily encouraged to do it in a massive public way, to be able to go to particular news stations, to be able to push it on a particular narrative. So I think that there is a lot more at work than just his decision-making from it. I think, like you have said, he's now looking for a case of knowing that he will never go back to work again as a lawyer. So he's now using it as a breadwinning. And I think that he's getting his bread from a certain political party and certain news organizations to do this. And I do honestly feel that that's trying to bring him down for some particular reason. Don't know why.
Yeah, I was at work this morning, and by this morning I mean it was literally our lunch break from 3 to 3:30. And the first thing the kids wanted to do, they wanted to change it over to a local news channel, and I think they were playing the Harry Connick show reruns. And I said, hey, just leave that right there right now, just like that. And they're like, what? We want to watch this. I said, we watched that. We've been watching this stuff for like the past 3 weeks. You guys come in, you change it over the news, you irritate the hell out of people, leave the channel alone. Well, it's got important information. I said, what important information does it have on there? stuff about President Trump. But I said, did either one of you vote? They, looked at me like, obviously they didn't. I said, well, then shut up. My supervisor comes over and says, Dade, what's going on? I said, oh, these guys are screwing with the TVs again, wanting to put it on the news. He goes, well, people have a right to watch news. I said, it was on Harry Connick Jr.'s show first. The rest of us want to watch this because it's neutral. It has nothing to do with anything. And at that point in time, they were talking like about a 10 or 11-year-old kid that was going around doing all these gardening things and helping people out and making his neighborhood look great, while these other kids, are just screwing around, jerking off, and playing video games. And I said, you really want to change it from this to that, and the rest of us are just going to give these guys, and it's going to cause problems. They go, well, it's just the news. And I said, well, see, that's what the news does. No matter what side you're playing, it plays one side against the other just to piss us off, and we're here to work and be productive, go home, enjoy our weekend, and not think about this crap. They go, oh, okay, leave it on Harry Connick Jr. The two kids got pissed off, and by kids, I mean they're like 20 or 23 or something. And they go, whatever, it's just the news. And I said, whatever, it's just the news. And the supervisor told us all to shut up, and I've been there for, 3 or 4 years now. But that's the point, it's a no-win scenario for the rest of us because everybody's playing every other side against every other side.
No, I definitely agree.
We're stuck in the middle, and we shouldn't. It's like it gets tiring. We're tired of it.
No, I definitely agree with that. Identity politics in itself is completely and utterly stupid and redundant. As you quite rightly have said, all it does is turn brother against brother, sister against sister. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't help anybody. All it does is try and formulate religion and try to formulate it as politics instead. This is my sports team. This is my political party. No, actually, it's a set of ideas that you follow. It's not yours at all. But that's what identity politics does. It tries to give you this sense of identity, when in actual fact, you are just who you are. Doesn't matter what you prescribe yourself to be. Doesn't matter what you think you are. Doesn't matter what you identify as even. It only matters what you think, not what anybody else thinks. And people always forget that. And identity politics, unfortunately, as you quite rightly said, takes it to playing one person against the other. It doesn't actually do anything to saving people's lives. Because if it did, then politics in itself would go against Obama and go against Clinton and go against Bush's, all for the same aspects of what they are doing now for Trump. And that's to do with immigration and children at the border, so to speak. Without going too far into it, nobody needs to do that. But if it was actually honestly about the children, then why didn't you do it for Obama? This is all to do with political point scoring.
Yeah, if it was about the kids, why didn't they do it during the Bubba Bill era when that stupid shit started going in the first place? Because reasons. They don't give a shit. And I personally, when you're in a distribution center and you're getting all this stuff printed out and sent out, you don't have, it's like, it's very rigid. It's you start at 11 o'clock, first break's at 1, lunch is at 3 to 3:30, the next break is at 5:30, and you basically break your day down so you can plan your jobs and get everything done. So the next shift comes in, they're happy, you're happy because they're happy. And when you've got kids basically saying, well, I want to watch the news, it's like, this is our half hour of, calm down time, relaxation time. We want to hear music. We want to hear good, positive things because, especially if you're working third shift, it psychologically affects you. So if there's that discord between the employees or one person and another, are you really, and goes back to the main topic, can you trust them to do their job effectively if they're looking at you with a bit of an attitude problem because they didn't get to watch the news?
Or even worse, because they watched the news with them, for instance, just for argument's sake, we did. And then we were able to say, well, no, that's completely and utterly wrong. And then you're having a little bit of a political debate in the middle of the lunchroom. And then you have to go and work on a machine that could quite easily rip your arm off if something goes wrong. And you've got to work with that person after a disagreement. Yeah. Not saying anybody would, but, temptations.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it was for like the 3 weeks. It was like, oh, this president did this person did that. And I said, prove it. Where's the, source information, sites, sources, give us actual examples, give us date and times, blah, blah, blah. Well, and one time this kid says, well, it's on CNN, so it must be true. And I said, Well, if everybody on CNN jumped off a bridge, would you? And they go, well, that doesn't even make sense. Why would they do that? And I said, so your parents apparently didn't raise you right.
Yeah.
And that just stopped everything in the lunchroom. We almost all got sent home.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, something
Because
like
that's pretty much where it was headed. That's pretty much where it was heading. There was no trust between the employees because of the lamestream media. And it was, oddly enough, it was talking about Cohen. And I said, that guy is just butthurt. And that's all it is. He's really just butthurt. And he really doesn't, I don't honestly think he has any morals or ethics anymore in regards to his job, let alone as a human being.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think that's where Ogre was going to go with this stream, to be fair. I think he was going to correlate the ideas of what was happening with Cohen and trying to compare it to, obviously, with Theresa May and Brexit and everything else of that, and trying to compound the issue of probably nobody can really trust any politicians at the minute. Is there anybody that you can truly trust that is supposed to be leading any country?
Well, here's from what my understanding is. When President Trump met with Theresa May, he was basically giving her enough ammunition to turn around and tell everybody who's trying to tell her what to do to F off so that she can make the appropriate decision for Britain and Brexit. And then from what I understand, she just kind of goes, eh.
Yeah. She does that a lot.
Well, she needs to stop going, eh, and start working again for the people that put her into office.
She never worked for the people that put her into office.
Exactly.
If anybody was to look at her record as a home office, she was one of the worst home office members that we ever bloody had. Crime rate started to soar.
Run, yell, and tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So bad that it was a case of David Cameron had to move her out of it and put her back as a front bencher again, just because that she was messing up so badly. Anyway, I tried to keep things going as much as I.
Oh, you did fine. I'm sure, sir. I'm just back, but you'll fill me in.
Yeah, we basically went through the process of thinking that basically Cohen is doing this for the idea, but we do honestly feel that it's a case of other political parties are using him for particular means. And it goes back to the idea of identity politics and playing one person against another.
Well, sure it does. But okay, look, common sense. You and I'm not going to go into any detail, but you and I have been through a lot of stuff together. We can look back over the last year and a half, damn near 2 years, and we could say, look at this has happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the reason that people see you and I here together still is loyalty.
Yes, definitely.
You haven't paid me a dime. I haven't paid you a dime. Neither one of us, in fact, common sense, I can think back, and neither one of us has ever said, oh, this is going to happen and I will be loyal to you. Never happened. It just was an organic thing that loyalty sprung from. And that's what I'm not seeing here, folks. I'm seeing somebody that wants to be Tom Hagen. We've already established if he was Tom Hagen, he'd be sleeping with the fucking fishes. And that in the end, sold out. Identity politics, getting paid, it doesn't matter. He was paid. He did have somebody who would know who he was if it wasn't for Donald Trump. And now he's in the news and whatever. I'm going to say this too, boys, and we can bust off on this. We'll go on this in a little bit. I'm sorry I had to leave, but this is important to me.
Sure.
In the end, I think what I've learned from this is what you already said, common sense. You can't trust anybody. You can't trust yourself. You can't trust your lawyer. If you do, you'll have a lawyer that says, oh, I'm Tom Hagen, and they will turn around and give you the hard one as soon as your back's turned.
It's a possibility. I mean, obviously, it's not a common case of things like that. I mean, going on to what you said about our relationship, so to speak. Yes, I said relationship. But no, as you said about our relationship, it was an organic relationship. It was a relationship that developed over mutual trust and mutual expression. It was a case of we were able to interact and actually have mutual respect, build and bond. Where in a situation like that, as you quite rightly said at the beginning, trust is supposedly bought, not actually given. That's why the doctor's relationship is slightly different to what a lawyer's relationship would be. It was a case of the doctor's there to physically help you, to make sure that your health is good, or supposedly is to make sure that your health is good, to make sure that they're doing the best thing for you health-wise, supposedly. I won't get into that. That's a whole different stream.
But that does come with some other things. And so you're saying that when you get a doctor, you're not paying for loyalty, you're paying for treatment, and loyalty comes with it. When you get a lawyer, you're paying for loyalty, and you may or may not get it. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's exactly that reason. It's a case of the doctor's not going to go out of his way or her way to be able to record conversations that are going to be happening to later on go against you. Because even though that you may be forced to pay extortionate amount of money for your health, so without going too far into that aspect of things, it's a case of the doctor still is trying to prescribe what he thinks is best for you. It may not always be the right thing, but he's trying to do it the best way he can. Where, unfortunately, for lawyers, some of them are in it just for the money. Some of them don't give a crap about you. Some of them don't really want to help you still. But some of them do. And that's when you build a mutual relationship up. When I've used lawyers, I've only ever used one once, and it was for a particular reason. And all the other times that I've ever done anything wrong, I was able to get myself out because I know English law quite well. But this time I couldn't get my way out of it without using a lawyer. And I needed to use it. I told him what I wanted to do. And halfway through, because I had to change him, halfway through, he started giving out different details. And I said, wait, what are you doing? It's a case of, I've told you not to say this, but I've told you what's going on. I'm now going to sack you, and you cannot mention anything else like that. And luckily enough, he fucked off, and I was able to get somebody else in, and I actually knew what they were doing. But I think I think lawyers themselves are a case of, they're a dying breed. They're now not necessarily there to help you. They're there to help themselves. They're there to get themselves as head as the foundation, or there as a partnership. They watch all the like Philadelphia and things like that. They watch all the lawyer shows and TV programs and movies, for instance, and think that, oh yeah, you can, if you work really hard, then you can get to the top, and if you screw people over, then it gets you to the top quicker. So I do honestly feel that that's where a lot of trusters seem to have gone from a client, and client confidentiality. At least that's what I think anyway. I mean, for people like Cohen, I honestly do think, like Zero Cool's already said, it's a case of he's just butthurt and he's just being a cunt.
Oh, I think he's scared also. I mean, look, but you know what? This is, before I go off on that, I'm not even going to go on that tangent. I'm just going to say this. What I'm finding out is that loyalty can't be bought. You can't pay for it. You just can't do it. If you, in fact, I would go so far as to say, from what I'm hearing from the two of you so far, what I'm seeing from Cohen and what I've seen in my life, is that if you buy loyalty, you probably won't get it.
No, I definitely agree with that. I don't think that you can buy anything. It's the same thing as when people say that money's going to buy you happiness. It's not true. Money doesn't buy you happiness. Yes, you can do more things. And yes, for a small amount of time, you will be happier. But what makes you happy is going down the park and playing a game of football, having a drink with your mates, and knowing that those mates are there for you. Those are the type of things that make you happy. Driving down to the beach with your missus and watching the sunset or watching the sunrise. Those are the things that make you happy.
Yes, that's what matters. Yeah. And I tell you what, boys, I figured this would go a little bit, but I can feel that we've come to some conclusions. So if there's any other conclusion on this, that's fine, and we'll let that go. If not, I want to open the floor up. Yeah. Mine?
Yeah. We didn't get to your conclusion.
I just said it. I just said it, and I'll say it again. From what I have been thinking about all day long, from what I've heard from you and Zero Cool, there is, and we just have Memes joining us too on this topic. So before we move on, we'll definitely give Memes a destruction. And what I did is I sent out the link to this to everyone. Memes, I love you. I want you to stay here if you can. But what I really want is your opinion, and then for you to bugger off if possible, and let someone else come in if they're willing. So what have you learned? And I don't just want to leave Memes like that. So what I've learned from listening to you all and from thinking about it all day is that loyalty is almost intangible. It's something that even if you're a good wizard, it's unattainable. You can spin all the wonderful spells of language that you like. And in the end, you can try to pay for it. You can try to give loyalty and expect it back. But common sense, in the end, what I've learned is there's only one common sense guy. And I trust you, mate. I'm glad I have your loyalty. But in this long, strange thing I've found on the internet, I've only found one other loyal human being, and that's you, sir. So that's what I learned today. How about you, Memes? What'd you learn?
Well, I learned that apparently on the Twitters, they can actually have a description of what's going on underneath trending topics. Because when I went down and I saw Michael Cohan, I actually saw a little bit of an explanation here on the old Twitter here, because I saw other folks tweeting about some stuff and things. And when I go back and I see Michael Cohan, I'm just like, oh, they're actually basically reporting that he had recorded conversations about Donald Trump actually asking him to pay off Stormy Daniels, which is absolutely the worst kept political secret that everybody knew was complete BS. Yep. So I'm like, what's the heck's going on? I'm like, all right, this is an ad hominem attack, which in the back of my mind, I just have to think maybe this is some form of 5D chess, because does anybody really care about this? Because like the folks that support Donald Trump are like, oh yeah, Trump's going around, what a manly dude. And the folks that are against him are like, oh, look at this, he's doing. I think folks have already kind of made up their mind, and pretty much everybody, I think the majority of folks kind of believe it happened, because it's well within the realm of possibility and scope of what Donald Trump has done in the past. So it's like, oh no, he has evidence to prove something that everybody already knew.
Yeah, I think you actually make extremely good points there. The fact that, again, is what technically what me and Zero Cool are actually already trying to allude to. It's the fact that this is just brought down to him being butthurt and then going into the ideas of playing a political opponent, playing political identity politics. That's literally all it is. It's a case of, as you quite rightly said, we didn't really want to get too far into, but yeah, it is some tapes that have been played for paying off Stormy Daniels. So for me, it's a case of he's doing it for particular reasons for me. And I don't like those reasons. And I don't like the fact that people are jumping on it and trying to make it more political. But then again, I suppose that's because I want to defend somebody. I'm a bit like Ogre in that aspect. I see somebody taking some licks and him not making a response, and I feel like I should make a defense for him because I'm wearing white, so I'm a knight.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's nobody's listening in on this conversation. I mean, I hope to God nobody would be listening to this conversation.
No, we expect loyalty from everyone listening. By the way,
yes, indeed, yeah.
Don't tell a soul. But here's the thing. Wait a second. So I really haven't been following this until you guys kind of brought it up, and I heard some stuff and things, and I see the Twitters, and I'm like, is this the only tape that's being released? Allegedly, that may exist.
Well, yeah, but Stormy Daniels' lawyer says he knows there's more and wants them released. But as far as we know, this is it.
So in regards to something that most folks, or many folks at least, typically accept as, yeah, we know what happened. It's just like, and President Trump didn't tweet anything about this?
I think he needs to, though, does he? I think if people, I don't mean people like yourself, like you're some kind of leper or something, because you're not.
But no, that
I thought
seems
they were
strange.
complaining that he tweets too much. So wouldn't this be a good thing that he's like, oh, you know what, I don't gotta tweet this, you know, about 2 scoops, 2 genders, and all that, and Melania, that dress looks great today.
Yes.
No, but isn't this out of character? Because here's the thing: this is the one thing I've noticed about President Trump. He tweets all the time about all these random things. Sometimes they're kind of important. Sometimes it just kind of seems like complete BS. He's just attacking somebody. But here's the thing: when he goes tweet silent, there's usually seems to be a reason. Maybe his phone's just dead. I don't know.
He's a no. Why do you think he goes tweet silent?
Because he doesn't really give a shit, and he's feeding the media red meat that they're going to cover. Because anytime this happens, my question is, what is actually being done? Like, I would be curious about what the White House and different government officials and agencies are doing, because this really seems to be like the laser pen with the kitten. It's just, you just start throwing the laser pen around, the cat just runs into the wall, it's rolling around.
Usually I would say that memes, but would and wouldn't. And as this organic conversation shifts, I want to say that Common Sense Guy and I intentionally avoided this the other day because everybody was fucking talking about it. So now let's get to it. Let's get right down to it. We're talking about loyalty, right? We're talking about loyalty. So, and I have my own opinions. I will share them at the end, but not now. I don't even want to give any of my ideas away. I do have some solid ideas, and they will not change regardless of what y'all say. So Trump, Putin, now we're talking about loyalty. So what happened with the summit? And then on the way back, wouldn't, boys? Everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? Wouldn't. Yeah. I know exactly he changed it from would to wouldn't. So I really want to give Common Sense, because what happened is the other day, Theresa May was on with Donald Trump, and I give my 2 cents and told Common Sense straight out. You remember Common Sense? I was like, I would not fucking like if that was my president, i.e. prime minister. Yeah. She was kowtowing. So what did you honestly think? What went down with that thing? Was that loyalty to the United States? What happened?
I've been on Twitter with quite a lot of people from America that have been saying that this is the worst thing that's ever happened, and this is treasonous, and this is that. You have to remember that these fucking agencies have been after him since they fucking won. Why would he trust them? If he honestly hasn't done nothing wrong with Russia and everything, all these agencies have come out and have been saying that it is Russia. Trump's been doing this with Russia. Trump's been doing that with Russia. And it's a case of, no, I haven't, being Trump. No, I haven't. I haven't done nothing. Why would he even believe his agencies if his agencies are coming out trying to tell him that he's done something he knows he hasn't?
You know, isn't it
really got to say on that?
Isn't it more so that they're making a big deal out of him talking behind closed doors with Putin when literally, what was it, 2 or 3 days before this, what's Lisa Page or somebody, whatever her name is, goes and testifies behind closed doors about the whole Peter Strzok thing. And it's kind of like, that's a little more, incriminating for old Petey Parker wannabe there than, because of him being a complete cock knocker, than President Trump talking to President Putin. Because let's be honest, other former presidents, no matter who they're talking to, there's always that one person. That's not Putin, all the time, obviously, but they've had behind closed door meetings, and yet people very rarely have ever bitched about it. In fact, I remember quite a few things that Obama, he was having behind closed door discussions with people in the Middle East, and it turns out that he sends them all this money, by the way, in the long run, we find out. And it'd be like, you're bitching, and I pointed this out, I said, you're bitching about Trump talking to Putin behind closed doors when Obama talked to these people behind closed doors, and look what happened with him over here. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, dude, seriously? You don't know me that well. And they're like, yeah. And I say, yeah, my daughter's, half black. They're like, huh? And it's like, yeah. So, see, you don't know me that well. That's my point. No. And that's all there is to it.
One day I'm going to get you in here. We're going to talk about that, about how people, I want to know. I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I can't now. Common Sense Guy wanted to say something.
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to point out something. And no, this is not the conspiracy side of anything. I'm not even going down the conspiracy side of this.
Algorithms.
Nothing to do with algorithms or conspiracy theories or anything. Oh, I keep on saying it. It's going to censor it.
It's all to do with algorithms.
They're algorithms.
Oh, yes, indeed. Shit, if there was, we'd have 1,500, not 15. Good
exactly. God. That's the one good thing. I would say that if anybody is trying to say that Donald Trump's being treasonous on the actual aspects of meeting with Putin or doing stuff behind closed doors, what about if you're a president of the United States and you get called in to give evidence into a particular terrorist incident and nobody's even allowed to read the papers about it? Is that not treasonous?
You invoke executive privilege there. I believe that's it would depend on the
No, but that's not what he asked. That's not what he asked. So very specifically, ask that question again, common sense, because I want to think about it again. I want to get another chance. I heard it, but I want to hear it again. What's the question again?
The question is that if you get called in to give evidence to behind closed doors about particular terrorist incidents, is it a case that you're not allowed to read the evidence of what was said behind that closed door? Does that make it a treasonous act?
Jeez, man, if what was said behind closed doors was treasonous, well, then the act in itself is treasonous. I would say that the treasonous act is treasonous in itself. That's as best I can answer it. Somebody else?
So basically, if somebody says something and basically they're admitting to treason behind closed doors, I believe there is a process. There should be some procedure. I mean, if there is not, I mean, the only exception to something like that would be, I think, like attorney-client privilege, or maybe just like marriage privilege or something like that. I mean, technically, I mean, I understand that it's already been covered and stuff like that.
But that's not that's what we're talking about.
There is no attorney could still sell you out, but I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one. I believe there would be a procedure in place. I have no idea. I mean, you would hope.
Let me rephrase the question, because you both picked up on the idea that maybe something treasonous was said behind closed doors. Forget about something being said that was done treasonous behind closed doors, or even done as supposedly treasonous. Forget that. There's no treason that's been committed at that point in time or being talked about. Is it treasonous for a president to give evidence to the federal courts, to your biggest courts in your country, and not being able for the public to be able to read the evidence that they gave? Is that true?
Zero. You haven't said much. That is a good question. I've got my answer. Zero. Cool. What do you think? And if he's not here, go ahead, Memes.
Well, I mean, in that case, I mean, here's the thing: it's behind closed doors. It's a sealed document. Wouldn't that be kind of?
No. Let's remember. He said, forget about behind, but it's behind closed doors.
Yeah.
We got to throw that out in a way. Is it treasonous to not let the people know what was said? I think that's the question.
No, those are private meetings.
No. It's for court proceedings. Being given evidence. It's not a meeting. It's giving evidence.
Giving evidence behind closed doors?
Yes.
No.
Yes, giving evidence behind closed doors. Is the fact of that being given behind closed doors a treasonous act?
Save me, Memes, because that's a tough one.
I mean, technically, I mean, well, let me ramble out something. I mean, it would really depend on the situation, man. Like, I need a little bit more context to try to speak somewhat intelligently on that.
Okay.
I mean,
I can give you a little bit more context on it. And remember, I'm not trying to do the conspiracy theory of this, but it is to do with obviously the 9/11 conspiracy theory people that think that it was done by the government. George Bush and a couple of other people at that point in time were asked to give evidence to court behind closed doors. Now, I'm not trying to say that they did or they didn't do anything. I'm talking about the instance that they were given evidence behind closed doors, regardless of the terrorist actions that may or may not have occurred. I'm talking about, is that bit that's behind closed doors about something that is in the national interest, is that a treasonous act to be hidden from people?
Well, I mean, that would be a top secret information. I mean, if it's
no, it's a court proceeding. It was a court proceeding.
A court proceeding. I mean, that should fall under Freedom of Information Act. I mean, unless there literally is some high classification for a particular reason. And I mean, to be fair, I mean, that information technically could be treasonous, but I believe their MC would probably know better than I would.
I don't think he's asking if the information, he's at common sense. Let me be very clear.
Yep.
You're saying information even treasonous or not. Is it treasonous to hold this information from the people? Isn't that what you're really? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So see,
from the president himself. From the president himself.
From the president. The president is saying something, and they don't want to let the people. I'm going to say yes. I did not like what happened with Stroke excuse me, isn't that his name? Whatever, Page and Strzok, whatever. The guy with the weird name with the Z in it. He shouldn't have been given testimony behind closed doors. This is the reason for oversight in our country. We elected them. They are there. They are us. When I hear Strzok or anyone else turn around and say, I'm going to ask my especially Strzok, because I'm going to ask my lawyer, the FBI lawyer that was created by Congress to serve Congress and to have oversight by Congress. This is the equivalent of this, common sense guy. Man, I'm not going to call you out, Zero. You actually did something that was so not, doesn't really matter earlier on. This is the equivalent of this. You and I are on a stream, okay? And someone comes on here to us and we're like, hey, listen, we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z, and we don't want to talk about A, B, and C. And then when they get in there, they're like A, B, and C, A, B, and C, A, B, and C. And we say, look, no, we run the stream. It doesn't matter what. We run the stream. We decide what's going to be able to, boom. Congress runs the FBI. They gave them their autonomy. They gave them everything they are. They cannot, this smacks of J. Edgar Hoover. This smacks of stacks of information on. To answer the question, yes, it's treasonous. We should not be. Look, common sense. The first time you brought Catalonia in front of me, you remember I was watching those videos and laughing, man. I really was. I'm ashamed now of myself. I am. Because I was like, yeah, look what happens when you try to fuck with Spain. Boom. And there were stomping women's faces into the. And after some time to think about it, I realized this. These people wanted to vote. That's all they wanted to do. They wanted to make their voice heard. And then, as a collective, if they decided not to be part of this other group, they wanted to respectfully be able to say, we're not part of this group anymore. We're us and you're you. And my God, this is what it is. The government does not have ultimate authority. And if the president says something to Congress and we want to know about it, it is treasonous not to tell us. That was a complicated question, though, and anybody else is welcome to answer it the way they want. That was my answer.
I appreciate that.
I mean, like, for me, it really sounds more like a lie of omission in that case, because I believe, and again, I am not a lawyer, but from a legal standpoint, from a non-lawyer type individual, a lie by omission, that's kind of in... That's why you want to have a good cross-examination to kind of like hammer somebody down, because they may tell you the truth, but they may leave out very key parts, and those key parts often may be very incriminating. So that's why basically if you're going to be testifying in front of a body, whether it's behind closed doors or whatnot, you may not mention something, and you're praying to God that they don't ask about it. So, I mean, unless something specifically asked, otherwise just keeping that information to yourself.
Can I just quickly add to it?
Sure.
What about if behind those closed doors, that the thing that you're not supposed to ask was asked and they answered it, but because it's behind closed doors, it's not given as an answer. It's not allowed to be given as an answer. So the American public or any public doesn't know about it. Is that treasonous?
Oh, well, I mean, if it was treason and there was more than one witness, I believe that classifies as treason.
No. Sorry, let me just re-clarify. The act of being treasonous is what I'm trying to say, is the fact that they're not giving the information to the American public. Not the fact that what has been done or what has been said is treasonous. It's the fact that what is done behind closed doors, as the government or your American president giving information and evidence that the American public have never ever seen it. Is that treasonous itself? Now, regardless of what the evidence is it treasonous that the American people can't see the evidence?
That sounds more like a state secret to me. And just to clarify,
I just want to get this through. You have to remember that the way that it's been set up is it's a court proceeding, an open court proceedings that have been taken against. Think of it as something like as a Hillary inquiry, so to speak. You got us sitting in the dark, and everybody's giving their questions and everything. From what the president at that point would have said, behind closed doors, is the fact of the omission of what has been said, is that a treasonous act? The fact that the American people will never hear the answers that they want to hear.
That is a good question. And now, according to Merriam-Webster, the definition of treason, the first definition, the offense of attempting by overt acts to overthrow the government of the state to which the offender owes allegiance, or to kill or personally injure the sovereign or the sovereign's family. That, by that definition, it does not sound treasonous. However, the second definition is the betrayal of a trust. So the question would be, are you betraying the trust of the folks whom which you are either elected or appointed or swore an oath of loyalty to serve? That gets into much more murky waters, my friend. So, I mean, you know what? That might be a case there. I'm not sure if that's the actual full legal U.S. definition, but at least according to the dictionary, man, that is a great point, man. I can't answer for the second.
Well, if in law, treason is a crime that covers some or more extreme act against one's nation or sovereignty. Technically, we are a nation, so if it goes against the nation and its people and the people that are represented by the Congress and the Senate that are voted in, then I would say that, yes, it's treasonous and it should be heard. Because I heard you say if they want to hear it. Well, the definition should be, do they need to hear it? Most likely they don't want to hear it, but they do need to hear it, because sometimes when we don't want to hear something, but we have to hear it anyway and we need to hear it, we learn from it. So I would say it could be considered treasonous, because if it goes against us as the American citizens in this nation. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's good.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the honest answer.
This is such a deep thing. I would want to go on and because I got one more little thing to say about it, and that is this. Often when I mention that I'm not sure if the world is round, I didn't say I think it's flat. I just said when I'm not sure, a human being that took philosophy, divinity, and psychology with a minor in sociology and music in school. Let's bear that in mind. I often say it, but when I would even dare take a shortcut through the STEM side of Andrews University, the nerds would come out and ruthlessly beat me about the head and shoulders with trigonometry books. And I had to scuttle away as fast as I could. So so bear that in mind. But I also, man, what treason, anarcho-capitalism, that's the other thing. I'm saying it and putting it out there just as I would put out saying that, hey, I'm not sure that the world is round. But with this, a little more authority, because I've studied these other things. And I'm going to tell you this, folks. The common misconception, Zero Cool memes, my beloved Jason, is that human beings can't be trusted. And we all know that. I mean, common sense guy's not leaving his flat unlocked when people just see him bring, well, and maybe you do, but what I'm trying to say is
I never leave my flat unlocked, ever.
Because what they say is that a lock keeps an honest man honest. Why would you just, give him that? Listen, folks, there is something to be said about the human condition. Humans can be trusted. Why am I saying that? Because I can be trusted. Not with everything, but the community is there to say, listen, Ogre now has messed up a little bit, a kind of a lot or a lot, and they can take steps to ensure that. So when I think about anarcho-capital, when I think about treason, it stems from this religion of state, folks. Here's the cult of personality. I mean, people want me to love Trump, though the heavens fall. And I'll say this, I am still pissed about Syria. I thought he did great in the summit. I did. Memes, all that stuff I said on your channel, that was kayfabe. I shouldn't have. I realized one thing, though, I'll never do it again either, mate. If I come back on your thing, I'll never break character again on a stream. That's the funny for us. And I watched part of that again. I was like, fuck, man, why did I do that? Why did I
like breaking things.
The thing of it is you just got done telling me that I was kayfabe and that I was cool for that, and then I fucked a donkey. I was like, why did I do that? It would be like all of a sudden you see the Iron Sheik. He looked at you and said, hey man, how you doing? Let's go out and get a filet mignon, in that kind of voice. It'd be like, fuck, my childhood is ruined. Anyway, so we don't want to trust people, but do you trust yourself? I know this is long and rambling. It's conscious stream of thought on this idea. Common Sense asked one of the most poignant questions I've ever been asked in my life. When people say things in so-called closed-door sessions in legal settings in your country with major players in your country, is it treason to not know what they're saying? And I'm going to say it once again, yes, because I'm an anarcho-capitalist. An anarcho-capitalist, anarchy has been a name that has been hijacked worse than gay, which means happy, and we'll all be gay when Johnny comes marching home. Listen, I could go on, and I just heard a throat clear. So let me just end it this way in 10 seconds. Trust your fellow man, but keep an eye on him and pay attention to what was said earlier. That includes you.
Yeah. Speak quietly and carry a clobbermeister.
Well, I have to actually, well, obviously not the first part about the flat earth, but I'll leave that one there. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions and beliefs, obviously. But the last bits are very, very poignant. The fact is that we can all draw conclusions and we can all draw expectations from what governments and our leaders are supposed to be taking from us and supposed to be doing for us. But yet, if they go behind closed doors, and yes, I know it's not a common day occurrence, but if they do go behind closed doors, have their meetings, in some aspects, I can understand, like in trade organizations and trade deals and talking from leader to leader. Fair enough. They can be done, obviously, behind closed doors. It's a case of meeting people. It's a ta-ta-ta, obviously. So I do understand that. But if they're having an actual meeting that's regarding state business, then surely, by definition, the state should know. Regardless of what minutes we're taking, regardless of what's going on, surely the state should know, or at least have the opportunity to know. If the state is having a meeting regarding what's going on in the state, then the state should know, or have the chance to.
Oh, in regards to President Trump and President Putin?
Sorry?
Because I mean, at that point, I mean, let's face it. If you're meeting with a former KGB agent such as Vladimir Putin, one should assume they are being recorded.
Yes, agreed. Agreed with that. But like I said, if you've even got Theresa May meeting Angela Merkel, I don't want to know what them two are talking about behind their own closed doors talking. But if they're meeting with a group and they're going to make decisions and panel decisions over it, I want to know what they're talking about because it affects me. But if they're having brunch...
Now that would be a job for the KGB, comrade.
Well, this may be
fuckers are killing me with that.
But however, here's the thing. I think it comes down to whether or not you have faith in the system.
Sorry,
comrade. You have to roll your R's. That's like
comrade with the moose and squirrel. Anyway,
how are you doing?
I don't have faith in the system, though. Means.
Oh, then there's a problem in the nation, man. That's what it sounds like.
But I have faith in the nation, and I have faith in the people in the nation. That's why I want the nation to know what the state is doing. The state and the nation are two completely different things.
Damn, hang on. I got to do something really quick, folks. So Fane is that fucking work, the son of a bitch, or he's just pushing me off, but he did respond. I wanted to get him on for 5 minutes of his thought on this very treasonous idea that Common Sense brought up. And his answer was, man, he's at work. So sorry. We'll get him on the weekend, though, when we're on Common Sense Guys channel. So on 3, if we can say, so Fane sucks, okay? Now, when I say 1, 2, 3, then we do it. When I say on 3, of course, it's 1, 2, 3, then we go. So on 3, we'll say so Fane sucks, and that will conjure him up this weekend. 1, 2, 3. So Fane sucks. Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. So where were we at? And this is good. And when we're done with this idea, which we should have been about 10 minutes ago, but it got interesting again, we're going to do some lightning rounds, at least 2. Everybody get at least 2 questions in your mind that you'd like to ask everyone on the panel. They will have 30 seconds to answer them. I'll be timing even myself. Just a good, quick answer. And we'll do some lightning rounds. So 2 questions, whatever they may be. It doesn't matter. 2 questions that you'll get answered from 3 panel members that I would like to say are an eclectic group of folks. Zero cool, craziest fucking hillbilly I've ever known. Talks about beating people's ass damn near every. This is the first time, and it probably will come up. This is soon, so it's early in the stream. So he probably talk about beating somebody's ass before it's over with. Also, interracial marriage. Then memes of destruction. Trust fund baby wasp from the sorry. And then we have of course, the one and only very posh, but very poor common sense guy who needs your money. And
I hate all of you that call me posh. I hate all of you.
They do, though. They do, because it's the way you talk. It's the English way you talk. It's like you tried to shove off. So there we go. Let's wrap this up and let's go in the lightning rounds. I have 2 questions, and I didn't want to just jump. I was going to jump on Zero because I like to put him on the spot. He gets pissed, and it's always good when he's pissed. That's when you get the best out of Zero. It's good when he's riled up. But now we all have it. 2 questions. Lightning round. As soon as we're done wrapping this up. Treason, the end of it. I am done with it. Who has the last word?
I don't want having the last word. And the last word for me is literally the case of the state and the nation are 2 different things. The state is what is trying to dictate to the nation, and the nation has the right to know what the state is doing.
Yes. Wonderful last word. So, shall I start the lightning round, or would someone else like to start with the first question?
Go ahead, Ogre.
In this modern age, would you define in 30 seconds what loyalty means? And we will start with, I hate to do it to you, memes of destruction. I know you're around more than Zero, but I got to give seniority to seniority is lying. So we'll go with memes of destruction first, Zero Cool, and then Common Sense Guy.
Oh, yeah, I'm low man on the totem pole.
No worries, man. No worries. So, yeah, I realize I just burned 7 seconds, but can we find this generation? Sure. I believe we have the technology. I believe we can build a better system that will actually serve the folks better than what we've had over the past, I don't know, however many millennia. I realize I probably have like 6 seconds left. So I love chicken. I love liver. Meow mix, please deliver.
All right. And whenever you're ready, I'm not going to start that. You actually had about 10 seconds left. I won't start the 30 seconds until you actually start getting your thing for everybody. So go ahead, Zero.
What was the question again about loyalty?
Yeah. In this modern age, would you define what loyalty means?
I can't. It's intangible. You have to experience it for yourself. You have to define it for yourself and with those that you can share it with, if at all.
Common Sense Guy.
Okay, well, knowing that I've only got 30 seconds, I'll have to do this quickly, which is very, very hard for me. Loyalty for me is a case of knowing that friends that you have grown up with, people that you have known for a very, very long time, it's a case of, for them, they have mutual respect and mutual understanding of what you are doing. So with that mutual respect of what understanding comes the understanding of knowing that you wouldn't do anything to hurt them and vice versa. With that trait comes the trait of faith, honesty, and the fact of loyalty. And with loyalty, damn it.
No, go on. You were so close. Just finish.
With loyalty, beguiles friendship. Well, that's basically what I was going to say.
Beautiful. So that was all 3 on me. I'm going to save my second question for the second round. So we'll go in the same route if we'd like, and we will start with memes, go to Zero, and so forth.
Oh, am I asking a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Within the next 3 months, what can each one of us actually do to help make a difference about something we care about?
What can we do in the next 3 months to make a difference about something we care about? We'll go from Zero Cool to Common Sense, and I'll wrap it up. Zero Cool, whenever you start.
You just got to keep doing what you can. That's all.
My goodness.
Sure. Hopefully, after I get another £50, or hopefully once I get my next paycheck, so to speak, I'll be putting together and registering my political party. So hopefully that will make a difference in some people's lives.
My goodness. I would like to say that what I'm going to do, I got to start this 30 seconds because I was going to take Common Sense Guy's time, but that wouldn't be very fair now, would it? Excuse me. So I'm just reset it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best to actually help Common Sense Guy in his journey in the Liberal Britain Party. Common Sense Guy and I have one thing in common. I think at the base of us, we're very well-meaning procrastinators that have so many irons in the fire that sometimes we can't get to all those irons. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 3 of those irons. That's going to be my family, my garden, and Liberal Britain Party for life.
Hey.
Ooh, well played.
Zero Cruel's question now.
Oh, no, I think, yes. Wouldn't it? Yeah, Zero Cool, right. Yeah.
I don't have any questions.
Man, you suck, dude. Come on, you got 2 questions for the panel.
Do you have any answers, and can we respond in the form of a question?
Yes.
Yes, there you go.
Very much so.
Duck season.
No, rabbit season.
Duck season.
No, seriously. The question, the answer to which you can put in form of question is, it's complete, utter bullshit.
Oh, okay. And
what is no bullshit? Excuse me, who is? Sorry. Apologies.
Oh, it can't be a 1 sentence. That was pretty good, but it can't be a 1 sentence answer. Come on, we'll go with memes, common sense, and I'll wrap it up.
Sure.
So with the question, excuse me, the answer was?
The answer is what is ultimately bullshit about this whole situation.
You should have just left it as it was.
What is ultimate bullshit, I think.
Yeah, what is ultimately bullshit.
Yep. So go ahead, memes. You got 30 seconds. Make it good.
So I would say, what would be the extreme distrust between our fellow human beings here? As we have touched on a little bit earlier, upon speaking about these things, the sheer fact that we're on the internet just with a sheer common purpose of, yeah, it's entertainment and shit, but I think each and every one of us is getting sick and tired of just things the way they are. Just the current meta we're playing doesn't seem to be working. So hashtag break the meta.
Damn, you had 2 seconds left. That was beautiful. I'm going to let it beep just because it's easier to restart it. Crack on there, common sense.
I would have to say that everything to do with identity politics, everything to do with intersectionalism, everything to do with the idea of third wave feminism is complete and utter bullshit.
Bastard.
Done.
Yeah, I figured because that was every fucking thing I wanted to say. So 30 seconds. I would say what is complete and utter bullshit. I'm going to narrow it down. Intersectionalism, gender studies, and intersectionalism. When we come to intersectional studies, where we talk about if you're black and gay and transgender, then you're more afflicted, and therefore you have more rights than others, and you're able to express your opinions where others can't. That is utter bullshit. We are all equal human beings. All have trials and tribulations. It doesn't matter if you're transgendered or if you're cis male. All right, memes of destruction. You got a question? I think that where are we at? Common sense. I've been thinking about the question so much that is it you now?
You're skipping your co-host, man.
It's you. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry.
It's all right. He's already put me in the low man on the totem pole. He's like,
no, you're not low. The first guy to go is always the low. That way, it's guys. I mean, the last, you know it. The last guy, because I get to listen to everybody. So yeah, no, carry on. Of course, you're always the high man, the totem pole. You're fucking 6'5", you towering son of a bitch.
I thought in a mental sense, the ogre was the highest of us.
Oh, fuck. No. God save us. I hope not. Carry on. Let's not go down that crazy train.
My question would be, or is, what is more poignant? To be on the belief of religion or to believe that politics is not a religion?
That's it.
Yes. So we all got the question. The question is, yes, we all got it.
What would be the current state of affairs in that if we do not have trust in our fellow creature, then we turn to other things that we can believe in? What are things we can believe in? Words spoken by other creatures whom we may identify with in some certain characteristics. Taking upon intersectionality into infinite sectionality, you only see a first couple of things. What do you see? You see somebody. You see what they're wearing. You see their skin color. Those are very basic things. But if you delve down infinitely, you'll see we really do have more in common than we do not. And unfortunately, it kind of seems like folks are adopting in a very seemingly more godless world. We're identifying for replacing religion with politics in many ways. I know I stole 7 seconds.
No worries. Zero. That's just a reminder that your 30's up. Of course, carry on your idea, anybody. Zero, cool. What is more poignant, religion or the absence of religion from politics, I believe is the question.
No.
No, the question was about something about the tail end, which gave to my answer.
Give it to us again. Let us have an advantage and give it straight to us again, common sense guy. Very concise.
The question was, what is more poignant today? The idea of religion or the idea of religion as politics?
That's politics. Okay, yes.
Yeah, it was the idea of religion as politics as religion, which is that also would have been an acceptable answer to the previous question, answer for the question, form of a question, because people treat politics like a religion and both suck ass because people are willing to kill for it, die for it, destroy stuff, try to make things in their own image when it doesn't need to be, instead of trying to figure out how to get problems solved. They make more problems than necessary, and they don't want to admit to their faults and try to play the blame game all the time. So stop treating politics like a religion, and stop treating religions with politics, because it doesn't work that way.
Man, that's great. And I will try to do everybody. That was great, too. I will try to do everybody that way and at least show you that I've started your 30 seconds when you actually start your idea. So I'm going to start right now. Religion and politics are one and the same right now as we live in the zeitgeist that we're everything we see. Everything Trump does is horrible. Everything Nancy Pelosi does is horrible. Everything Maxine Waters does is horrible. She's the most corrupt person on earth. No, she's not. No, sometimes Trump is wrong. Sometimes Maxine Waters is wrong. Sometimes Maxine Waters is right. And you should listen to anti-Maxine. And we shouldn't mix religion and politics. That is the bane of society. Get your belief out of my politics.
Yeah, all well done, all well said. So back to you then, Omega.
Oh, so it is. So my final question, it's funny that it went that way, the way he asked it, because I've got it written down. If God is dead, is something filling that void? And a caveat, do we need to fill that void? We'll start with memes.
All right, then. Well, in general, I'd say voids need to be filled. That seems to be standard human nature. Oh, my God, I feel like I'm in 24. Oh, the numbers, the numbers.
I'm going to restart your shit now, dude. I'm going to restart it. All right, go.
No.
Go.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's our natural thing. We're human beings, dude. We want to feel whole. And just there's something about belief and just, I don't know. I hear all the words that Professor Peterson speaks, and I always just end up going back, and I'm like, it just seems like we yearn for something greater. Maybe that's what separates us from the beasts that crawleth upon the earth. Maybe they actually strive for something. I don't know. We haven't really found out the best ways to communicate with all of our creatures on this planet. I know I'm delving into different things, but hey, the question is, will we talk with them first or talk with folks from beyond yonder, the skies above? I have no idea if that timer even works. Or if Mr. Oberfeld. Oh, there we go.
Yes. Zero cool.
Jesus, how do I follow?
I know it's tough. I know it's tough. Take a deep breath. I
can't follow up to that. I got nothing. I'm sorry.
Nah, you got something. Dig deep. I'm not going to press the button until you start talking and until you get in your groove. So even if you stumble or say a few words before, I won't press the button until I know you're in your groove.
Starts timer. I don't think God's dead. I think our faith and belief in being able to be something better for ourselves and not relying upon a deity is waning. I think we put too much into the here and now and what we see in front of us and what we can touch, taste, smell, and hear, especially visual of social media. And I think that just takes the flavor out of everything to where we can actually say, you know, I don't know if this was divine intervention or just a fluke, but, you know, it is what it is. And we try to find the answer to everything. And that ruins a lot of shit, you know.
Damn well said. Common sense guy. And look, we all have our final words at the end of this. I just thought this would be something fun to do, and I'm already stoked by this. This has been a lot of good time. I just gave my bro just a couple more seconds to think. So whenever you're ready, common sense, as soon as you start your
I was just going to say, could you just repeat the question so I know what the actual structure is?
In this day and age where it seems like God is dead, do we need something to fill that hole? That is the base of the question. You know, if God is dead, do we need something to fill that hole?
Are we ready?
Yes, sir.
Simple answer to that is no, we do not need anything to actually fill that hole. What we can actually do is actually believe in ourselves more. And when we believe in ourselves, we can actually project that into helping other people. So do we need to believe in a God to make people actually be more moral? No. Can we believe in ourselves to make ourselves more moralistic? Of course we can. At the same point, with the fact of, as we said before, religion is now turning into politics. We are already filling that void. The thing is, we're filling it with the wrong stuff. We're filling it with identity politics and essentiality. Look inwards, and then with looking inwards, you can look outwards.
That was perfect. All right. Well, that was my question. I think we got 3 more questions coming. I dig the fuck out of this. I hope y'all are. It's making my nuts tingle. So who's next? I think next we go to memes. Is that correct? And then we should have 3 more questions. So,
this is true. And I must admit, Zero, you have offended me. You have said ketchup is nasty. So you brought me to this point. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Oh, that's a good. Now, hopefully, we will all take this as a. If that's your question, I hope we'll all take it serious because I've got more than just 2 words to say on that one. Is that your question, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that was my answer. Sure, why the hell not? I mean, I'm not
go.
Paying for the pizza. If you want it on your pizza, great. If not, I don't give a shit.
Not even gonna set the timer for this one, so.
Right?
Go ahead, common sense.
This is a sudden change of position.
All because I said ketchup is nasty.
Yeah, I've seen that aside. It's like all of a sudden it's pizza.
Boy.
So am I. I'm 27 miles from a town that has a factory, and high fructose corn syrup ruins it. So we're just going to leave it at that.
You never know.
So you're geographically biased.
Yes.
All right, common sense. Tell them what you think about pineapple pizza.
If we're going on personalities and what I prefer, then no, it needs to stay a hell away from my pizza. But if you want it on yours, then you can have it on yours. Still an abomination, but you know, freedom of speech and expression and that shit.
Yeah, and the problem that I have with pineapple pizza is this whole idea that diversity is our strength. I do not believe it. I believe there's an experiment where they draw 3 lines on the board. One is long, one is a little bit shorter, one is very short. They all agree that the middle line that is not very long is the longest one, and other people agree with it. Pineapple on pizza sucks. If you think it doesn't, if you like pineapple and ham, the Hawaiian pizza, it's because you have been convinced, a la Stanley Milgram, that it's good because it sucks.
All right, I hate you all.
Cool. Come on, man. Here. Come on. We got 2 questions left. Don't make my co-host have the 2 best questions in this whole fucking thing. Zero, give us a good.
Okay, I'm gonna read out what I wrote on the side chat. I said, "Oi, mate, you got a license for that pineapple?" Anyway.
Negative.
Okay, so my last question is for today. I really had something good here, and I just lost it, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so if we're gonna go with stuff behind closed doors, would it not? Here's the serious question of the day: if something is said behind closed doors, that whether or not it's treasonous, if you think it could benefit the public, the American people, would you or would you not release it?
Even if it's treasonous, and
whether it is or not, it doesn't matter. If you think it would serve the public trust, would you or would you not release it?
Come on, not just yes or no, boys. Let's give a reason. Go ahead.
No, if you're the one deciding on that, and it's going to be treasonous against you. I mean, if it's going to better the country, you took an oath. If you committed treason, you committed treason. You hope that the system's going to show some leniency on you. I mean, this is, I think, what it comes down to about telling the truth. Because as long as you're telling the truth, if and when your time comes, hopefully enough folks will believe that you're being honest.
And that was perfect with 7 seconds left.
I would release it straight away, simply because that the idea that I would be able to decide what's best for the nation by myself is absolutely ludicrous. I would give it to the nation to decide for the nation. The nation can decide for themselves.
Damn, I can't really add much to that, but that he stole the thunder right out of my storm, because I would say yes, and because the people are the ultimate god of the religion politic. Yeah, and so I guess that was all, and now it's on me to do something else. That was so much fun. I want us to do this before we go to our
Mitch,
final
I've got a question.
Oh, was it? I was actually sorry. Fuck, twice I've just said fuck off. So common sense. As a matter of fact, if you've got one left, let's also, if anybody else has one left, and if not, I bet common sense has 2 or 3 left. So let's give him time right here before I just forget that he's here and he takes shit on me. Go ahead, mate. Go ahead.
My question would be, does the idea of politics actually matter in the grand scheme of things? And just for a quick elaboration, so you have the first part of the question for elaboration. Do you think that it's actually going to change anything, no matter what party is in power?
I'm not going to lie. I was talking to Moz for the first 5 seconds of your question.
Give it concise, because that was a good one. Break it down really concise, common sense.
Yeah. My question is, does it really matter what political party is in power? As in, will it make any changes in the future, in the long run?
Oh, party doesn't matter. I think it comes down to the individual. That's the thing. You can have all these great folks that are saying all the talking points and everything, but it's just, you got to be willing to work, because I think the current problem is it's the system itself. They always say, don't hate the player, hate the game. I think the system over time is just developed into such like a monstrosity, just this, that, the other thing. It's going in every which way that folks are just kind of in like a yes boss mentality. I just want to make my boss happy in order to get promoted. This goes back to, hey, well, wise man once said, we do these things not because they're easy, but because they are hard.
Beautiful.
Because they're hard.
Zero.
I would say, again, it's not the political organization, it is the individual. Unfortunately, I would have to say the exact opposite would be true, that it's not to make the boss happy, it's to make yourself, to save your own ass and give in a mob mentality if it means that you don't get prosecuted or persecuted for the stupid shit that's going on that could damage the individual or the country. Because change always happens. It's the only consistent in the universe, but it does matter in the long run, but we're not going to be around to see it most likely.
Perfect. Well, it's the left-right paradigm, folks. I'm not going to change my mind because Trump's in there like Alex Jones has done, or many other people that I've seen do. It doesn't matter. Left, right, left, right, left, right. It is what I want you all to imagine is a boot stamping on a human face forever. Yeah. Oh, and I guess that was the last. So now that I was just
May I answer my own question?
Yeah, I actually was hoping you might have at least 1 or 2 more. We've got some good people here, and I do like the idea of this. So not only you, but you out there, chat. I'm going to look back and see if anybody else out there has had a question. And if not, now's your chance. I'll take at least the best 1, and if not the best 2, to the panel. What is it, common sense?
Well, I was actually going to answer my own question.
Yes,
because
sir.
I think that everybody's actually over. Please time me so I don't go over the top.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I think everybody's actually overlooked the process of why are we doing what we are doing then? If we do not believe that change can happen, or we can be the change to make change happen, why are we even doing what we are doing? Just because that we don't believe in the political parties themselves that can do the change, why can't we be the change? And to be the fact that politics can change everything that happens in the future. Otherwise, why else would the slavery been abolished?
With 6 seconds left, well said. So now I guess probably should have told him to ask the question earlier, and we are getting very close to 2 hours, folks. There's a reason why this went today the way it went. I'm going to filibuster just a second, give you all a chance. Of course, break in whenever you want. I'm not just talking. Anybody got an idea while I'm speaking, just pipe up.
Well, I've got a question if everybody wants to answer one last question.
Oh, it wouldn't break my heart. But there is, very quickly, then, the reason I'm doing this today is because we do politics so often that it is once in a while nice to just see how lads feel, man. I didn't want to go into any deep thing. Thank you so much for humoring us. So carry on, common sense.
If you had the ability to go back into time for one particular period, and you had the chance of either killing somebody that was going to do something completely not utterly banned, or changing their mind, what would you do? And
how much time do you have to change your mind?
A For the time,
in other words, could you go back to when they were a child and you were young and met?
No.
So how much time would you have?
You'd have to be able to change their mind on the day that they were going to decide to do something.
On the day, okay. So you met them on the day this whatever bad thing was going to happen, and you could either change their mind, kill them, or do nothing.
Yes.
Very good question.
And would you do it as well as a follow-up?
We'll stay with the same order if you lads are willing.
Are we going back to originally what you said, or if we had the opportunity? Because you initially phrased it as
it's a two-part question. It's a two-part question.
So ask it again to be very clear, and I'll start at 30 seconds.
So for it to actually be clear, the question is: if you had the chance or the opportunity to go back into time, any part in time, to what you deem to be the worst or the bad thing that you could change, would you go back to change it? And if you could change it, how would you change it? As in, would you change it to the fact of talking to the person to change their mind, kill them, or leaving them as they are?
Oh, I'd go back and go on a magical journey on mushrooms with a young Adolf Hitler.
And
I don't know.
You've ever tried to change his mind or stop him?
I mean, my original answer would have just been to go back in the age of Middle Earth and just forge swords, become a blacksmith.
Yeah, but there was a specific question, though, Memes. It was a specific question. If you had the chance to go back in time to a specific point to change somebody's behavior, regardless of who it is, would you be able to go? Would you want to go back to change that person's behavior? Or would you change that person's behavior with either killing them or by trying to change their mind?
Oh, I'd say in that instance, don't go around fucking with the past. The past is in the past, man. You can only learn from it. The problem is if you go back and change something, who knows what the fuck you're going to do. And at that point, it's just like, even if you prevent one event, maybe something worse may come. So at least perhaps it's better to deal with the devil you know than the devil you don't.
Fair enough answer.
Oh, great. Said with 7 seconds left. So same question all around.
Okay, so
Zero, you should have something great for this. What I expect for you. I, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a minute because you should, knowing you and your mind with comic books, all this shit, you should have something awesome for this.
Okay.
Suck.
I'm going to quote Cyborg from Teen Titans real quick. The first thing I know about that, if you go in the past, you step on a bird, you get dinosaurs and apes ruling the future. Okay, we're going to get that out of the way. Now, if this is a complete, what a scenario to where very little changes and it would benefit humanity. Everybody's like, I want to go back and kill Hitler, blah, 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 which is illogical because how do you know that certain populations wouldn't overgrow and then you have the whole Soylent Green future going on? The truth of the matter is, if I knew one particularly bad event was going to happen and I could go back and stop that one person that would lead them to have the domino effect, I would basically do this. The first smartass who thought it was a good idea to go over to Africa and start kidnapping black people, I would basically, I wouldn't change their mind. I would basically tell them this is why this would work and why this wouldn't work and leave it to them, because killing them would be pointless, mainly because somebody else would probably think of the same stupid idea and do it later on down the road. We'd basically have a similar timeline to what we have now, maybe only 20 to 30 year difference. Instead of this being, it would still be 2018, but we might be stuck in 1980s technology or whatever. So basically, I wouldn't tell them to change their mind. I'd basically say, here's the pros, here's the cons. This is why you won't make as much money as you think, and this is why you'll be forgotten in the future and nobody will remember you anyway. And then if they think somebody else is going to do it, maybe they can change their mind and what not to do. I don't know. It's a mess. It's a complication. I don't have a DeLorean or a TARDIS.
No, that was great. And what I did basically is I just wanted to give my 30 seconds away. So because he pretty much, I did what I was hoping and praying he would do after I swelled his ego up, was said exactly what I would say. I would just remind everyone about the butterfly effect, that it is that real scientists do think that it is possible that a butterfly flapping its wings off the Cape of Good Hope could create a hurricane. So there's no way I would change. I would not try to influence in any way, and giving the opportunity, I would not go back in time. Yeah, it was great. So, well, look, we got two choices, boys. We got final words, or if anyone else has one final question, I'll give anyone that would, in fact, the whole panel 1 minute to answer. It's just because I got a little more free time. I just haven't asked you all. I don't know if you all have free time. So if you do, you do. If you don't, yeah. So this time around, too, to be clear, because I give, and it is nice with the 30 seconds is good to get it like right off the top of the head. But with a minute, you just felt the difference. I mean, Zero had a time to actually say and really think while he was saying. So this question that's asked, we'll leave it for the last two. As it's being said, I will look back. I just haven't seen any questions. There may be one more, but it'll only be from the chat if there is. So there we go. We all got it. 1 minute to answer. Thank you, Common Sense. Carry on.
If you had a choice of saving your absolute loved person or loved thing, or letting the world have world peace, but you not being around to see it with your loved one, what would you choose and why?
Where do you come up with this? All right. Okay, that's it. All right. Saved your loved one or loved thing, he even said. Whatever. The thing you love the most or world peace.
Well, going under the assumption that if you get world peace and you ain't going to be around, your loved one, even if they never knew you, if that's going to make the world a better place and they'll have a good future, I think you got to go with that, man. It's just like, hey, we're all going to be back to dust at some point in our existence. And that's the thing that gets me. We get all pissed off about this and that. We literally are the sons of stars of years past. And just that's why we all go back to Mother Earth in the end. At some point, maybe we'll go back to other mothers. Who knows? It's a bigger question than the man I am.
22 seconds left, but well said. Carry on, Zero.
I'm sorry. I would save somebody that I love very much. Although it would have, if it's the person that I would want to save, it would have the detriment to not having me become the adult that I am today. I may become better, maybe worse. I don't believe world peace will happen, mainly because some idiot will always find some way to tilt it back into the direction of chaos and discord because of greed, and that's all they know.
Oh, well. Yeah, that was. I guess this was probably not good. That was just 30 seconds in, so it was wonderful. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to just push the button. Oh, it's counting down. The other day, my first flock of chickens was only 5, and a cat slaughtered all but 2 of them. Those 2 that lived are now gone. A hawk got 3. Some of y'all know the story of 3. And the other one was killed, and I don't know how, but Yeller's gone also. But I was so furious that it was a cat. I mean, it was, you can tell cat claws. It was a cat. And I tried to nurture one. It didn't. It died here after 3 days of trying to nurture it. It didn't live like pie. It was painful. That said, fuck world peace. When I saw a cat here the other day, I know it's my neighbor's. I got my high-powered air rifle and I shot all around it. I finally shot its tail right about an inch from the very end, and I hit its tail with that 22 high-powered air rifle. Ow! And it got out of the tree and ran home. But I can't give up what I love, and I can't expect others to give up what they love. World peace is a dream, and it always will be. And I would not sacrifice my beloved Lily dog for world peace. Good question, though, and it's hard to answer that. I won't even lie. So I don't know if there's any questions. I lied. I didn't look. Boys, what's up? Anybody got a time here that they have to go? Anyone here?
Not me, no.
So if not,
I too got to run with you.
Okay, well, thank God you're not very important. So
Fair enough.
I shouldn't have said it like
I'm
that.
glad you beat me to the punch, because I was just about to say I'm getting ready to get out of here, and then he would have said that to me. So
no, so this is it then, boys. Because of that common sense, we do have 2 with us, and I would carry on. I'd carry on probably for another hour, but it's all good. Can't always do it, and sometimes I leave earlier, like Wednesday. I feel like I feel like a bad wizard because I went off with my mates and jammed at the bar. It got pissed as a fart, as I once heard an English friend say.
Well, we all have to accept a quest once in a while.
So let's do this then. No more questions. Thank you. If anyone asks one in the chat, I sure do appreciate it. But I guess like memes, you're even less important. No, I'll just tease It's all a joke. It's all a joke. So we'll go right into our final words. Before we do that, I want to say thank you so much, folks. Zero Cool, you're always good to be here, man. Your voice is so unique. It's so ball shrinkingly piercing.
Hey, I know I still sound like I'm in puberty, but that's always good to know.
You sound like an angry 14-year-old boy. Yes.
It's good to know that you made the ogre tingle earlier.
Yes.
That's not really fair. I wanted my chicken nuggets, but she wouldn't give me the chicken nuggets because Mom said I didn't do my chores. God damn it! I'm gonna go to my room and play Nintendo.
Holy shit! I think that
Your
was
daughter's
his
home?
voice. I think that was his voice without helium. I really do believe he just did that. That was amazing. And memes of destruction. You know, I'm busting your balls. It was such an honor to be on your live stream. Hopefully, you have my mate Common Sense on sometime, and it was really fun. It really was. Next time, I promise not to break character. So that said, we all know the drill. There will be no timer. Take as much time as you'd like. This is the time too, folks. Don't try to be modest. This is the time where we get the best sound bites. We really find out what someone thinks. So it could be about what we talked about today, right? Common sense. It could be about something that we didn't talk about. It could be about anything. No one will interrupt you, and no one on this panel will berate you for your ideas. So we'll go in that same order. Memes of destruction, you first, then the beloved Zero Cool, and my ever-loving, gigantic Common Sense guy.
Right on, brother. Well, as we learned, time travel is a bad thing, because as we saw, as we get to roll out here, you're very welcome, Zero, even when a dragon flaps its wings, apparently that can cause a change and certain folks to say things and do things. And here's the thing, for every action, there is a reaction of some sorts, whether you boil it all down to quantum physics, if you would, or just kind of say, hey, we're human beings kind of doing our human thing here. We really are more similar than we are different. We each walk our own paths. I stand by most folks are good people. That's the keystone to every word that comes out of my mouth, usually unless I'm really fucked up. But hey, we all do stupid shit. And we try to act in our own self-interest. And hey, by the by, we got to do what we got to do. And I got some faith in humanity. Things may get worse before they get better. It is always darkest before the dawn. But hey, I'm harkening back to good old JFK again. We do these things not because they're easy, but because they're hard. Hashtag I parked my car in Harvard Yard. You can't actually do that. Oh, yeah. One last thing I typed in the side chat.
Oh, you got time. You got plenty of time.
No. But speaking of sound bites, why the hell are none of us doing clips like just a quick couple-minute clip about some of these rants and stuff like that? Because as much as folks love listening to us banter along for multiple hours on end, here's the thing. For new folks, if they say a 2 or 3 minute entertaining clip about the ogre, or even like the Common Sense guy actually did earlier, his 10-minute video, a little bit of emotional music there, dude. I listened to that like maybe twice and everything and picked up my time spot, dude. That was good shit. I think we need more stuff like that because that's more easily digestible. Because here's the thing, dude. If folks in the past 10, 15 years have gone from a 12-second attention span to down to an 8-second, there's some study somewhere, somebody on the internet told me about once, that's like a math 30-40% decrease. I'm sorry, math is hard, but dude, here's the thing. It's like that's how you get a message out. You just got to keep it simple sometimes. Memes out.
Yeah.
What's that, mate?
Busted out, Zero.
The only thing I'm going to say is don't do anything. Don't touch anything. Sci-fi rule number 1, you start messing with the past, you end up with monkeys ruling the future. That's it. In other words, don't touch shit you're not supposed to touch.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. I know that this is the Yogi show on today anyway, and as we're on his channel, but I would like to take the opportunity just to thank both Zero and Memes of Destruction for both coming on. We do encourage more and more people to come on. If Ogre or myself does put the link into the side chat, please come on. Have a chat with us. We'd much rather have a chat with somebody.
Last word, Mr. Ogre.
Sorry?
Oh, and my mic was on. I'm so sorry. Were you
Nice.
so sorry? I actually got up to get a cold beer. I didn't know my mic was on.
Noob.
So who was where wasn't it? So now that I look like such an asshole, isn't Common Sense guy still talking?
I was going to still be talking, yes. He's done it to me all fucking stream, hasn't he?
Good Lord, that time it was really not. I mean, oh God. Common sense. You have the patience of the saints, man.
But no, I mean, you see how we are. We're not the type of people that are going to completely ridicule anybody on their views. Yes, we do disagree, like me and Zero did earlier on, but then it's a case of where we actually get talking. We actually realize we're coming from the same sort of position, just from different positions to start off with. It's a case of we like having chats with people that we don't actually comprehend. We don't understand their thought process, so we want to talk to people. So if anybody wants to ever come on the show, please let us know. We would much rather have a chat with somebody we don't know than somebody we do. The reason why we'd like to do that is we want to know what makes you tick, why you think the way that you do. And as I said before, if you're confident in your own arguments or your own beliefs and your own ideas, then you need to challenge yourself with them. And the only way that you get to challenge yourself is by talking to people you don't normally speak to. Go do it. It makes life worth living. Admittedly, not to some people, but to me, it always makes life worth living. The reason why, as I said, you get to challenge yourself. Nothing beats challenging yourself, whatever it is, whatever you want to do to challenge yourself. That being said, though, I'm quite happy to leave things the way they are. We've had really great discussion today, really great talking points, great questions. I really enjoyed tonight's stream. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming on, and thank you very much for being in the chat and supporting us any way that you do and have done. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
Well, shit, I guess I'm going to try to keep it tight and concise now.
Fuck you, Ogre. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Yeah, you should wait till I'm like halfway done and be like, hey, you want to have a final word here, dude? No, and I guess to explain that, Mrs. Ogre, I got up to get a beer, and it's like, are you all done yet? I was like, that was me yelling to her, no, we're not done. You want to? No, anyway. No, and news flash, she's not going to have a final word. Her final word will probably be to me in ways I don't want it, on topics I don't want. So anyway, that said, thank you so much. I am sorry for what I am. Nah, not really. In the end, I'm scatterbrained, but it is good once in a while to be that way. Tonight worked out just like I hoped it would. Sometimes when I was in a class called homiletics. That's where you learn how to preach to people, to like not just speak but preach to people. Homiletics. It should be called propaganda, but it was called homiletics. It had a his name is Mike Wise. I'll even tell you his name. Old preacher. He's still working in Grand Rapids. And he came up to me and he said, "You know what, Ogre? A sermon isn't always, in fact, I don't want to. I was trying to turn it my way. I'm not gonna." He said a sermon isn't a shotgun blast that hits all over the target. Boom. And you're like, I hit it. Boom. Because it hit all. He said a sermon is a sniper rifle that hones in and hits one thing. And you know what, folks? We try that most nights. We do our best to get certain stories together, and we get out our sniper rifles. And Common Sense Guy and I are good preachers. We hone in and pew, pew. But haven't you all become weary? Isn't, my beloved British friends, isn't Brexit getting weary for you? Whether you're a Remainer or a Brexiter, isn't it getting old? Even if you're a Remainer, don't you just wish they'd just get out and be done with it? Ye Americans, aren't you just sick and tired of them? Listen, what they're doing, folks. Aren't you just sick and tired of them with Trump and everything he does is wrong? My goodness, he does nothing right. Kavanaugh's a bad pick, the Russian thing. Can't we realize what we were saying earlier? Politics is not a bloody religion. You don't choose your political affiliation based on faith, you bloody donkeys. Wake up. Join the Liberal Britain Party if you're British. Today. Even though it's not fully formed. Join it. Get with someone in the United States. I suggest you get with the Libertarian Party vote for Adam Kokesh for president. Believe in yourself. I think the most poignant thing said tonight was by my beloved co-host. You don't need religion. You don't need politics. You need to believe in yourself and be good to your friends. Be good to your family members. Be good to your loved ones. Be quick to say you're sorry. Be even quicker to accept an apology, especially when that thing your friend, your family member, your loved one has done seems to be so huge, you'll never be able to forget about it. His constant viewers, panel members, at a time you think not, your friends, your family members, your loved ones, your life, possibly even your beloved common sense guy, will depart from you.